Hi, welcome everybody. This is Labor Law Advisors' new webinar on a very important and a very relevant corporate legal topic. उससे पहले I would like to introduce myself. I'm Shweta. I work as a content writer with Labor Law Advisor. आपने Labor Law Advisor के blog या फिर जो एक और सोशल मीडिया पेज है क्विक पेरोल वो पढ़ा होगा तो I write labor law related content for that platform. I manage a content team of 4 more writers who work with me. And I have been working with Rishabh sir in LLA since last August. And it has been a great journey. It's been a great learning experience. And this is the second webinar that I'm trying to host with legal professionals from the industry. So today we have our speaker on board, which is a lawyer, a corporate practitioner lawyer, Vikhram Nath. So Vikram sir is at present the founder partner of Grey Matter Legal, a law firm which has offices all over India and also based out of Delhi. So Sir has the experience in general corporate practice for about 19 years at this point. सर ने 2003 में अपना प्रैक्टिस शुरू करा एंड फिलहाल उनके पास 19 इयर्स का एक्सपीरियंस है और वो कई वाइडली नोन लॉ फर्म्स में काम कर चुके हैं इंडिया में like Kocher and Co, Dua Associates. And for 4 years, Sir was also working in TMI Associates in the Tokyo office. तो वहाँ पे offshore clients, वहाँ पे overseas clients के साथ deal कर रहे थे sir for 4 years. After which he also worked in Indus Law for close to 3 to 4 years. And from July 2019, Sir has been the founder partner of Grey Matter Legal. Now, बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ जो मैं आप लोगों के साथ शेयर करना चाहूँ अभी just last week when the Forbes India Awards were announced for corporate lawyers in the country, Sir has been given a certificate acknowledging him as a top individual lawyer by Forbes who has above 10 experience in India. So that is a great achievement, and we're really lucky to have such a speaker coming and taking the webinar for us. Now, welcome, sir. Thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
so
today.
much. Thank you so much for the introduction, Shweta, and thanks for the opportunity for speaking with everybody. So, as Shweta ने आपको बताई दिया आज का टॉपिक हम लोग दो टॉपिक आज कवर करेंगे. I think we can jump straight into it. And those two topics actually काफ़ी डिस्कशन के बाद हमने वो दो टॉपिक इसलिए चुने क्योंकि वो दोनों टॉपिक जो हैं इट्स वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ बिजनेस. बोथ टॉपिक्स जो हैं वो रिकवरी के ऊपर है. वन इज ऑन द रिकवरी फॉर द MSME एंड द अदर इज द रिकवरी जहाँ पर आपको कोई चेक मिला है और वो चेक बाउंस हो गया तो फिर उसके बाद हम क्या करेंगे उसका या उसके व्हाट आर द उसके कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस क्या होते हैं अगर वो चेक बाउंस कर जाए तो. So very quickly to give you an introduction, let's go to let me share my screen. We will go to the PPTs. I'm trying to share my screen. Just a second.
Sir, there will be a share button at the bottom, and once you click on it, then there will be a share screen button.
Yes, I'm trying to share the screen, but
once you click on share screen, you have to actually click on the window tab. There will be a first entire screen, and you have to click on the tab. The click on the picture, then it will select.
Okay, got it.
Uh,
Is it
yes,
visible?
yes. I'm adding it to stream. Yes,
Okay,
it is visible. Yes.
okay. So
But you are
we
not on
will
PPT
start with.
page. This is a you can the tab is not PPT one. It's not on your screen. Like we can see this StreamYards, but not the presentation.
Okay, so I stop sharing this.
No. Just you open. Have you opened the presentation yet? Have you opened it?
Yes, yes.
Are you using two screens simultaneously?
No, I'm using just one.
Okay. So एक बार आप please stop sharing करिए. I'll just guide again. Really sorry. एक बार can you stop sharing? Yes. Just go to share. Click on entire screen. There will be three tabs on the top.
Share,
First is the
yeah,
entire screen. Entire screen will be the first tab. And
and
yes, now you
yes,
select on the
okay,
picture. Now you select the
right.
picture and click on share.
And should I also select share system audio?
No, that's not required.
Okay,
Share, yes.
so that's done. And
Now you can go.
now is it
Now you can just a second. It's loading. Yes, it's perfect. You can go full screen mode to the presentation. Thank you, sir.
okay? Is it now fine?
Perfect. It's perfect. Perfect.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So, of course, I'm skipping a few. This is the introduction to the firm, but this you can read when you have time. I'll straight away go into the act, which is the MSME Act. Now, MSME Act, it came into existence in 2006, and before that the MSME was not really governed by any specific act. It was being governed under the Ministry of Industries, but at that point in time in 2006 गवर्नमेंट को ऐसा लगा कि एमएसएमई इज a very important sector and इसको एक अलग से मिनिस्ट्री दी जाए और उस समय ये एमएसएमई एक्ट बना। लेकिन सही मायने में जब ये उस समय 2006 से लेकर 2016 तक इसका ज़्यादा कुछ इस एक्टिविटीज़ नहीं थी। बट आफ्टर आई थिंक द एडवेंट ऑफ द पुश टू मेक इन इंडिया, उस समय फिर ये एमएसएमई एक्ट केम अप विद मेनी स्कीम्स and under the current regime there are many schemes which MSME Act and the Ministry of MSME has come up with. So this is only a background. ये MSME is what are the entities of MSME is now you can see the classification of MSME in this slide. In the Act, there are three separate categories which are made for the MSME. One is the micro, the other is the small, and the third is the medium enterprise. Now, in the 2006 Act, there were two different categories of micro, small, and medium enterprises. One was the manufacturing, and the other was the services sector. In the event एक कंपनी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कर रही है तो उसका इन्वेस्टमेंट अगर प्लांट्स एंड मशीनरी में 25 लाख है तो वो माइक्रो माना जाएगा। स्मॉल है तो 25 लाख से 5 करोड़ है तो स्मॉल माना जाएगा और 5 करोड़ से 10 करोड़ है तो वो मीडियम माना जाएगा। उसी तरीके से अगर सर्विसेज में जाएं तो अगर इन्वेस्टमेंट्स उस कंपनी की 10 लाख है तो वो माइक्रो माना जाएगा, 10 लाख से 2 करोड़ है तो स्मॉल माना जाएगा और 2 करोड़ से 5 करोड़ है तो वो मीडियम माना जाएगा। एंड एक अमेंडमेंट भी इसमें आ सकता है, वो अभी तक आया नहीं है लेकिन बिल ऑफ 2018 अभी पेंडिंग है। उसके अकॉर्डिंग एक और कैटेगरी ऐड हो जाएगा विच वुड बी द एनुअल टर्नओवर। तो अगर किसी भी कंपनी का टर्नओवर 5 करोड़ है, 5 to 75 करोड़ है और 75 to 250 करोड़ है, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन दैट इट वुड गिव अ क्लासिफिकेशन। The reason why classification is important is because many of the schemes जो MSME मिनिस्ट्री निकालती है फॉर द MSME सेक्टर्स, वो ऐसे ही क्लासिफिकेशन के ही अकॉर्डिंग होता है। माइक्रो को इतना टैक्स बेनिफिट मिलेगा, स्मॉल को इतना टैक्स बेनिफिट मिलेगा या मीडियम को इतना टैक्स बेनिफिट मिलेगा। इसलिए ये ऐसे कैटेगराइजेशन करके द एमएसएमई एक्ट हैज गिवन 3 different categories to companies. Now we're going to what are the different uh, agencies of the government. So MSME enterprise, MSME ministry is a branch of the government of India and is the apex executive body for the formulation and administration of rules, regulations, and laws relating to this sector. So, as I said earlier, 2006 ke pehle, everything was being governed under the Ministry of Industry. So there was कोई ऐसा difference नहीं था between industries and MSME. But only after 2006, for a push to be given to the MSME sector, the MSME Act came out. और उसके बाद MSME के अंडर उसके हम लोग अभी आगे पीपीटी में देखेंगे कि कैसे कैसे उसका बेनिफिट्स MSME को मिलते गया। नाउ इसमें एक पॉइंट जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है वो है लास्ट पॉइंट इसका इस स्लाइड का, विच इज अंडर द MSME एक्ट MSME मिनिस्ट्री ने एक बोर्ड कॉन्स्टिट्यूट किया। सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट व्हाइल मिनिस्ट्री टेक्स केयर ऑफ द पॉलिसी डिसीजन, द एग्जीक्यूशन विंग ऑफ द मिनिस्ट्री जो एक्चुअली ऑन द ग्राउंड एग्जीक्यूट करता है वो एग्जीक्यूट करता है बोर्ड। सो एवरी देयर इज अ नेशनल बोर्ड and at every state and in every state and in every union territory there's a state board or a union territory board. So as far as the MSME policies are concerned, that is being monitored or that is being governed or promulgated by the Ministry of MSME. But as far as the execution of all these rules and regulations are concerned, ये बोर्ड ही करता है। सो जब भी हम आगे चल के जब भी हम बात करेंगे अबाउट हाउ दीज थिंग्स आर एग्जीक्यूटेड, आई वुड ओनली रिक्वेस्ट कि आप ये कंफ्यूजन मत रखिएगा कि गवर्नमेंट कर रहा है हमारे लिए। गवर्नमेंट नहीं करता है, गवर्नमेंट इज अ पॉलिसी मेकिंग बॉडी। इट इज बीइंग एग्जीक्यूटेड बाय एंड रन बाय द बोर्ड which is appointed by the government. Then we come to what does the MSME Ministry of MSME, they provide for the MSME. So these are the 5 services जो MSME ministry provide करता है। एक तो as I said, जैसे for example facilities for testing, training for entrepreneurship development. Then preparation of project and product profiles. Then technical managerial consultancy, assistance for exports, and pollution and energy audits. And how they do it, they actually do this through different schemes. So it's very easy, आप MSME के वेबसाइट पे जाकर के उनके वेरियस स्कीम्स देख सकते हैं। उनका उसका एलिजिबिलिटी होता है, रिक्वायरमेंट होता है, उसके वो एप्लीकेशंस होते हैं जहाँ पे आप फिल इन कर सकते हैं। And the eligible contenders, eligible applicants, they can avail of these schemes. For example, recently I was advising one company which was interested in PM Employment Generation Scheme. Now, uh, just to give you an example, how does that work? PM Employment Generation Scheme is a scheme in which आपको MSME मिनिस्ट्री जो है वो in case of manufacturing sector मार्जिन मनी देता है। मार्जिन मनी क्या होता है? बेसिकली if suppose you are an entrepreneur, you want to set up a business, or let's say you want to set up, अगर आपको कोई मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बिजनेस सेटअप करना है तो आप आपके पास अगर कैपिटल नहीं है तो आप बैंक के पास जाएंगे फॉर डेट। But what bank does is, as per RBI guidelines and as per other guidelines as well, banking laws, वो आपको 75% या 70% तक ही लोन दे पाएगा। सो वो जो रेस्ट ऑफ द बैलेंस ऑफ 30% है उसको वो मार्जिन मनी कहते हैं। नाउ at times the capital is so high that you you know an entrepreneur may not have that margin money also to pay, और अगर वो मार्जिन मनी नहीं पे करेंगे बैंक को तो बैंक आपको लोन नहीं देगा। So in MSME, how MSME, Ministry of MSME through this scheme helps you is by giving you the assistance of giving you the margin money, so that you can pay that margin money and get the loan. And in the cases of manufacturing sectors, it is, I think it is up to 25 lakhs. In cases of service sector, that margin money assistance is up to 10 lakhs at a very, very nominal rate of interest. So that is one such example. And recently we were doing some advisory for some entrepreneurs. The other another, as I said, one of the services that they provide is facilities for testing, training for entrepreneurship development. So for entrepreneurship development specifically, the government MSME ministry has a scheme wherein they create clusters. Now the clusters are for it's developed for manufacturing unit or even for services. And in every state, under every state, there's a scheme. So every state MSME board would be taking out schemes, would be coming up with clusters wherein it would be easy plug and play for manufacturing units to set up the shop. So these are a few examples of how MSME, Ministry of MSME, helps in development of entrepreneurship. Then we go to what are the important features of MSME. I think we have already spoken about this. MSME sector is a very, very important sector for the Indian economy, for the growth of the Indian economy. And the reason behind that is obviously well known. अगर आपके पास बड़े इंडस्ट्रीज होंगे और उन बड़े बड़े इंडस्ट्रीज को सपोर्ट करने के लिए छोटे छोटे इंडस्ट्रीज नहीं रहेंगे, तो या तो फिर वो बड़े इंडस्ट्रीज बाहर से जाकर के अपना रॉ मटेरियल लेकर लेकर आएंगे, विच वुड बी वेरी एक्सपेंसिव. अल्टीमेटली व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट if that if the imports are high, then ultimately the final product becomes very expensive and they are not competitive with the foreign products. Therefore, it becomes very important for a country to survive on the MSME, because MSME is the backbone for your bigger industries. Secondly, it of course generates employment. Employment opportunities are huge because of MSMEs. MSMEs, I think there are about 6.3 crores MSMEs. That's what the numbers we could find. So you can imagine the kind of employment generation that MSME does. These are some of the reasons why MSME Act was important. And this slide actually talks about that. Uh, then there are some other features also, which I think I will skip for now because of the time limit. So, but this slide talks about some other features and importance of the MSME sector, like how India is moving towards a $5 trillion economy, and how the GDP growth would be at a very very high trajectory. जब जीडीपी ग्रोथ हाई होता है तो अक्सर ये देखा गया है कि 2 tier और 3 tier cities बहुत जल्दी डेवलप कर जाते हैं. जब 2 to 3 tier cities डेवलप करते हैं तो 90% द टाइम आपके एमएसएमई सेक्टर्स ही होते हैं जो डेवलप कर रहे होते हैं, बिकॉज द बिगर इंडस्ट्रीज आर हाउस्ड इन एक्सपोर्ट ओरिएंटेड units or special zones made for such big units, because big establishments require bigger infrastructure facilities. So whenever the economy is growing at a very high pace, it is generally seen that the MSME sectors, they tend to grow at a much faster pace than the bigger industries. So these are the certain points that we found to be interesting, and we thought that we'll share in this PPT. Now we come to highlights of the new MSMEs. Now, in this, the recently, the budget has come out, and you must have seen that MSME sector has been given a huge push. Also for the fact that the COVID times are just coming to an end. So, so a lot of push was supposed to be given by the finance ministry in the budget to MSME sector. So these are the few things which the finance ministry has come up with in the budget also, and in general by the MSME ministry. For example, a provision of collateral free loans to MSMEs. Generally speaking, MSMEs have always this dilemma of to get a loan. Now, to get a loan, you need to give some collateral, और छोटी कंपनीज के पास कोलैटरल शायद ना हो, होता नहीं है। तो इसीलिए वो क्या करते हैं कि एमएसएमई आपको हेल्प करने के लिए कोलैटरल फ्री लोन्स भी दे रहे हैं। लेकिन ऑफ कोर्स एज आई सेड देयर आर applicabilities, there are eligibilities criteria, so you need to look into that eligibility criteria in order to avail these collateral free loans. Then there is, of course, this 3 lakh crores, as is mentioned in the PPT. This is only an allocation of the funds out of which the loans will be given out to the MSME sectors under various schemes. And an offer for MSME to get a moratorium period of 12 months is also in the offing, which means that अगर आपने लोन लिया है MSME से, then you have some time period before which you start repaying your loan, you start repaying your debt. So that is also being proposed, and in certain schemes this has already been implemented. Then there are other pointers like consideration of manufacturing and services MSMEs as the same entity. This is for the reason that, as I said in the beginnings, the first few slides you must have seen, that there is always a divide between the manufacturing MSME and the service MSME in in the categorization also, and also when it comes to schemes. Every scheme is divided into manufacturing and services. But in lately, it has been observed that if these two can be merged, or in some cases it can be taken as same entities, then the schemes can be equally given to both the manufacturing as well as the service sector. So this is also one consideration which the MSME does they do take into consideration. And others, of course, MSM is granted a repayment tenure of 48 months. MSMEs are assured of 100% credit guarantee, and reclassification of MSMEs will benefit approximately 45 lakh units. Now, this reclassification of MSME is exactly, that the point of having the categorization being merged, or in some cases being taken as the same. Then we go on to the features of MSMEs. These are self-explanatory. I'll just read it out to you just for your information. What the MSME generally holds. Like, MSME work for the welfare of the workers. They help them by giving employment. Then they promote development of entrepreneurship. They support the upgrading of developmental technology. MSMEs are known to provide reasonable assistance for improved access to the domestic as well as export markets. They also offer modern testing facilities and quality certification services. And following are the recent trends, now support product development, design innovation, intervention, and packaging. So these are the few features that Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises they provide for the MSME sectors. Now we come to the applicable transactions. Now, the provisions of MSME Act pertaining to payment of consideration and recovery of outstanding dues apply to a transaction for sale of goods or supply of services between a supplier and a buyer. Now, this slide onwards, we'll talk about the actual business that MSME is entering into and how the recovery process is taken into consideration. First and foremost, it is very important that the transaction should be of sale of goods or supply of any service. अगर आपको कोई कोई सामान आपको बेचना है किसी कंपनी को, और या फिर आपको कोई सर्विसेज देने हैं, जैसे कुछ भी हो सकता है, कंस्ट्रक्शन सर्विस हो सकता है, या any other sort of services to be given to another company, then that contract should be there for sale of goods or supply of services. Then the other point is that you need to look at uh, the registration process. The registration process is important for the reason that as a precondition for the MSME sector to apply for a recovery under the MSME Act is that that entity should be registered with under the MSME Act. और इसका रजिस्ट्रेशन जो है ये बहुत आसान है। ये इनके वेबसाइट पे जाना होता है। एमएसएमई का एक वेबसाइट है, उस पे जाकर के यू हैव टू अपलोड, आपको कोई डॉक्यूमेंट्स उसमें होते हैं वो आप अपलोड कर दीजिए और उसके बाद आपको ये उद्योग आधार मिल जाएगा। उद्योग आधार इज दी is what you get once you registered with the authority. And once you get registered with the authority, then it becomes fairly easy to ask for a claim or a recovery from your the owner to whom you provided the services. Then we go to the Samadhan. What is Samadhan portal? So once you registered with the MSME, then for any problems or any let's say concerns for if you're not getting payments, then you need to go on to the Samadhan portal. And once you enter into the Samadhan portal, everything is online. तो आपको कहीं कोई ऑफिस जाने की जरूरत है नहीं। वंस आपने एक बार उसके वेबसाइट पे गए, वहां पर आपने अपना उद्योग आधार डाला और देर आर सर्टन डॉक्यूमेंट्स, जैसे आपका जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है एमएसएमई, जो सेल ऑफ गुड्स या सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है वो, देन the actual receipt, the actual purchase order that you must have received from the person for whom you've given the goods to or supplied services to, वो आप अपलोड कर देंगे। फिर आप ये भी अपलोड करेंगे प्रूफ ऑफ जो आपने दिया है उनको सामान या सर्विस सप्लाई किया है, रेंडर किया है, वो आप दे देंगे। तो फिर जो डिपार्टमेंट है वो आपका केस एलोकेट कर देगा टू द बोर्ड। As I said, the government authority is not doing anything over here. They are only facilitating the whole procedure for your recovery. So once you put in all these things onto the website, then ये सारा information जो concerned state का जो board है वहाँ चला जाता है। And once it goes there, then uh, then the notices are issued to the person who are not paying up your money. So this slide talks about the features of MSME Samadhan. So number one, आपका application is online, can file an online application for delayed payments using the portal. A user is to have उद्योग आधार number. As I said, it's very easy. आप वहाँ जाकर के ऑनलाइन जाकर के you can apply and get the उद्योग आधार number. आपको केस स्टेटस चेक करने के लिए भी कहीं नहीं जाना है. You can check it online. एंड एक वंस यू एंटर योर उद्योग आधार नंबर, एक डैशबोर्ड खुल के आ जाता है जहां पर आपके जितने भी पेंडिंग केसेस हैं या पेंडिंग पेमेंट्स हैं जिसके अगेंस्ट आपने उनको प्रूफ दिया हुआ है, वो सारा एक बार में एक पोर्टल में, एक डैशबोर्ड में आपके सामने आ जाएगा। एंड उसके साथ ये भी आ जाएगा कि गवर्नमेंट ने एलोकेट किसको किया है, बोर्ड कौन सा बोर्ड है, नोटिस कब सेंड हुए, नोटिस कब रिसीव हुए, एंड द पर्सन अगर उसने रिप्लाई किया तो वो रिप्लाई भी पोर्टल में आ जाता है। एंड देन इफ नेसेसरी देन they can ask for a meeting or a conciliation to be done face to face. That the board sends a notice for a face to face meeting, and the company has to, the representative of the company has to come in and they talk it out and they either reconcile it or they agree to the payment to be made within a fixed tenure amount of time. Then we go on to certain other features of MSME. So, how does why would any company take this seriously? ये एक दिमाग में क्वेश्चन आता है कि सपोज आई एम अ कंपनी और कोई एमएसएमई मेरे मेरे मैंने कुछ काम कराया, पेमेंट नहीं की और एमएसएमई मेरे पीछे पड़ा हुआ है कि भाई पेमेंट कर दो. So the point is that the act has been made in such a manner that companies will be afraid of not paying you the money, not paying to the MSME. और उसका रीजन ये है कि आरओसी कंप्लायंस इसमें बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट होता है. कोई भी कंपनी अगर आपको पेमेंट नहीं करती है, इफ यूर एन MSME, you are eligible under the act to go under समाधान, MSME समाधान पोर्टल। तो फिर उस कंपनी जिसको आपने सर्विस प्रोवाइड किया है, वो उसको एक तो ROC के पास जाकर के you can complain. Then as per the act, every company has to have, within the balance sheet, they have to have a provision for MSME dues. तो जितनी भी कंपनीज हैं, आई मीन मेरे ख्याल से जितनी भी बड़ी कंपनीज होती हैं, उनका ऑनबोर्डिंग प्रोसेस ही इस प्रकार से होता है कि सबसे पहले क्वेश्चन ये आता है, या एक उसमें से जो फॉर्म होता है, ऑनबोर्डिंग का फॉर्म होता है, उसमें एक क्वेश्चन हमेशा रहेगा कि आप MSME हैं या नहीं है। और उसका कारण ये है कि कंपनीज को बहुत सावधानी बरतनी पड़ती है अगर कोई एंटिटी MSME है तो, क्योंकि अगर कोई एंटिटी MSME है और उसका पेमेंट ड्यू हो जाता है और पेमेंट नहीं होता fixed amount of time, then the company has to not only intimate the ROC, but also has to provide explanation as to why this payment was not made to the particular MSME. And audit में भी वो question आता है. So all the big companies, they are generally afraid of audits. So the auditor will also ask them the question that why is it not that you have paid this MSME due? Then if you see the second bullet, as per notification number SO 5622E, every specified company shall file an initial return in MSME Form 1 stating details of all outstanding dues to MSME suppliers existing on the date of notification of this order within 30 days from the date of publication of this notification. So not only there is a continuous audit happening for the MSME, but initially when this act came out and this sort of a compliance was being undertaken, तो सब कंपनीज को एक MSME फॉर्म 1 भरना पड़ा था, जहां पर उनको जितने भी आउटस्टैंडिंग ड्यूज थे फॉर MSME सेक्टर, वो they had to be submitted to the ministry so that the MSME ministry can then look into the clearance of all the dues. Then we need to look at bullet number 3, which is very important. Please note that the registrar of companies is asking the details of the default and delays in payments to MSME sector, along with the complete list of the name, amount outstanding, period of delay with reason, and total outstanding to MSME exceeding 45 days through filing the MSME Form 1 with ROC. इसका ये मतलब है कि अगर कोई भी MSME ने एक पेमेंट, एक परचेज और ये इनवॉइस रेज किया टू अ कंपनी टू हुम द MSME हैज प्रोवाइडेड सर्विसेज, और उस कंपनी ने 45 दिन के अंदर अंदर उसका पेमेंट नहीं किया, तो फिर दे हैव टू फाइल MSME फॉर्म 1 विद एक्सप्लेनेशन दैट ये क्यों नहीं हुआ. एंड दिस ऑडिट टेक्स प्लेस every half yearly. So every half yearly, the companies have to report the MSME payments agar nahi hue hain to. Then we come to the last bullet point, which is very important from the point of view of the recovery claims. Law of limitation is very clear that 3 years is the limitation period in which one has to claim their money under the laws of India, and MSME being statutory law. Law of limitation is not applicable. Further, this ROC compliance will automatically confirm the legitimate dues of MSME, and such confirmation is nothing but acknowledge of debt, which will in turn renew the limitation period if at all is applicable. So, till now we have spoken about ki kya kya, as per law, what all compliances the companies need to do. But now coming to the actual, suppose you have to file a claim. तो एक हमेशा एक लॉयर, आप जाएंगे किसी लॉयर के पास, हमेशा एक लॉयर हमें ये कहेगा कि लिमिटेशन देख लेते हैं. लिमिटेशन क्या होता है? लिमिटेशन इज वेरी सिंपल. एज पर लॉ, अगर मेरा कोई ड्यू है, मनी ड्यू है, मैं आज से, सपोज आज ड्यू होता है, तो मैं उसके 3 साल तक के अंदर मुझे वो क्लेम करना है. सो लॉ ऐसे बना हुआ है कि ऐसा नहीं है कि आज मुझे कुछ ड्यू हुआ और मैं आज से 12 साल या 15 साल बाद उठ करके आ रहा हूँ और मैं कोर्ट में जाकर के ये कहूँ कि भाई मेरा तो ड्यू बनता है, तो I need to file. That point in time, the person who owes me the money, वो ये डिफेंस ले सकता है कि भाई इनका जो ड्यू था ये तो आज से 12 साल पहले खत्म भी हो गया as per law of limitation, because law of limitation stops you from claiming your right beyond a point in time depending upon what that claim is. So in case of money dues, which is in this case, it would be money due, it is under the law of limitation, it is 3 years. So imagine a situation where MSME is busy with many things. कहीं कुछ they are busy with their business, कहीं यहाँ से payments आ रहा है तो इधर. So point is that MSME does not have the capability, the expertise at times. I'm saying it does not have the capability or the bandwidth to look at each and every payment coming through. So think of a situation जहाँ कोई MSME एक कोई debt क्योंकि वो उनके पास टाइम नहीं था और वो they skipped it. तो इसीलिए उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए the law has been made in such a manner that the law of limitation of that 3 years period has been waived off. So it does not matter whether you your due was even if you cross the law of limitation of 3 years for money dues, you can still go under MSME Act to claim that money from the companies. Then we go to the limit for payment of dues. Now, coming to specific sections, Section 15 of the Act provides where any supplier supplies goods or renders services to any buyer, the buyer is obligated to make the payment for such supply on or before the following dates. Where the date of payment is not agreed between the parties, payment is required to be made within the period of 15 days from the day of actual delivery of the goods, where no objection is in writing is raised by the buyer, or where any objection is raised by the buyer in writing, then the day on which such objection is removed by the supplier. And where the date of payment is agreed in writing between the parties, on the agreed date, provided such date shall not exceed a period of 45 days. So, in short, section का मतलब बस इतना सा है कि अगर आपने किसी को सप्लाई किया कोई गुड्स या सर्विसेज, तो और आपने पेमेंट टर्म में ये नहीं लिखा कि कितने दिन के अंदर उसको पेमेंट करना है, तो 15 दिन के अंदर करना ही करना है. और अगर आपने ये अग्रीमेंट में लिखा है कि या लेट्स से कंपनी ने आपसे लिखवा दिया कि 180 दिन, तो वो माना नहीं जाएगा क्योंकि मिनिमम है 15 दिन और मैक्सिमम है 45 दिन. तो यही इन मैक्सिमम 45 दिन के अंदर अंदर सारे MSME पेमेंट्स हो जाने चाहिए. दैट इज सेक्शन 15 ऑफ द एक्ट. And then section 16 is the interest liability. Interest liability is section 16 says if the buyer fails to make payment within the time period as stipulated under the previous section as we just read, then the buyer shall be liable to pay compound interest to the supplier on the dues from the rate of default. The prescribed rate of such compound interest is 3 times of the bank rate notified by the Reserve Bank of India. So again, एक और बहुत ही drastic ये एक section है for making sure that companies do not make any delays in the payment of MSME dues. Then section 17 is another section like this, which says provides that for the goods supplied, the buyer shall be liable to pay the amount with interest thereon. So जो भी आपको जो dues हैं वो अगर payment नहीं होता है तो with interest they have to be cleared by the company. Then Section 23 of the MSME Act provides that the amount of interest payable or paid by a buyer to a supplier under Section 16 shall not be allowed as a deduction for purpose of computation of income under the provisions of the Income Tax Act 1961. This is a little technical. I think this is from the taxation perspective, but just to give you an example why this has been not an example, sorry, the explanation why this has been given is that generally speaking जितने भी expenses होते हैं कंपनी के, अगर वो MSME dues में गए या कोई भी payments होते हैं तो वो कंपनी can claim that as an expense और उसको tax में benefit मिल जाता है. But if the company is delaying the money to be paid to MSME, then the act says कि उस पे आपको rebate नहीं मिलेगा. तो इसका मतलब ये होता है कि all these 3 sections have been made in such a manner that in the event that there's any delay in the payment to the MSME, then it is only uh, bad. It's a negative thing for the company. So it has to pay the interest, और जो भी payment वो करता है उसमें उसको tax benefit मिलेगा नहीं. So therefore, it completely is completely in favor of the MSME, and the companies which avail the services of the MSME, they would be quite discouraged to not pay the amounts or not pay the due amounts to the MSME. Then we come to the reporting requirement for the buyer. As this we have already discussed earlier, but I'll just reiterate it. Section 22 of the MSME Act provides that where the buyer is required to get his annual accounts audited under any law, then the buyer is required to furnish a statement of annual accounts, the details of the principal amount and the interest due to any supplier as at the end of the financial year. Here, supplier means any MSME supplier. और एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर कोई कंपनी के पास कोई ऐसा ड्यू रह जाता है जहाँ वो एसपी का ड्यू रह गया है, तो फिर उसको उसमें एक प्रोविजन बनाना पड़ेगा कि ये क्यों रह गया है और उसको डिटेल भरना पड़ेगा टू द प्रिंसिपल इंटरेस्ट. एंड दिस under the Companies Act also has been provided. So not only under the MSME Act, but the Companies Act also says that you will have to submit form MSME 1, providing the details of the outstanding dues to an MSME. Then we come to the resolution process. Now, इसमें ये resolution process में, as we mentioned, the Samadhan portal is how it is done. But this is the actual sections which we've quoted, which may help you later for understanding the nuances of the act. Uh, should I go through it? Do we have time, Shweta?
सर आप अपने हिसाब से, यू कैन टेक योर टाइम, वी हैव स्टिल 5-10 मिनट्स आराम से.
So anyway, I'll start. Let me give you as much quickly as possible because I think we are running out of time.
Sure, sir. No problem. No problem.
We have to end at 5 o'clock, right?
Yes, sir. We can have 5-10 minutes above as well. No
Section 18 of the
worries.
MSME Act provides that where the buyer fails to make the payment, then the supplier can file its complaint. Now, this complaint can be filed as we've discussed in the Samadhan portal. And the conciliation proceedings, अगर so समाधान पोर्टल में जाएंगे, हम वहाँ पे फाइल कर देंगे, उसके बाद वो नोटिसेस वहीं से चले जाते हैं टू द कंपनी, एंड देन द कंसिलिएशन प्रोसीडिंग्स अगर फेल कर जाती हैं, then the arbitration proceedings are initiated, and these arbitration proceedings are governed under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act. So once the Samadhan portal resolution does not succeed, then the matter is shifted under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, governed under that act. And this is how MSME registration helps in the recovery of dues. This also we have already discussed. Basically, registration under the MSME is very important because once you are registered under the MSME, that is if the company is eligible for being an MSME, then you can avail all these benefits, all these recovery models are open to you. Or फिर आप you can demand the company that the payment should be made within 15 days and it cannot go beyond 45 days. Then why I keep emphasizing on these days is because in my experience, there are many companies who are not aware of their rights under MSME Act. तो जब भी वो किसी कंपनी के पास जाते हैं, any company would say we have a 90-day credit period, and MSME not knowing the rights, they say ठीक है, they agree to it. और वहां जहाँ agree कर जाते हैं तो they falter, and they, in the sense that their credit lines are longer, whereas the MSME Act provides for a very, very short credit line. Okay, that's I think that's the end of the MSME. I would be open to any questions if there are any. Otherwise, we can go on to the.
Sir, I have one question.
Next topic.
Sir, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, I can.
Yes. Yes, sir. I had an interesting question from one of the audience.
Yes.
They were not registered as MSME when they became a vendor with a particular company, and then uh, before raising the invoice, they became MSME. They registered as Udyog Aadhar, but didn't inform the company. Now company is defaulting upon their payments. So can they take the benefit of provisions which you mentioned?
Yes, they can take the benefit because at the time of entering into the agreement, even if they were not MSME, registered MSME, then it does not matter. Once they have registered with the MSME and the company has defaulted, तो अभी जाकर के वो समाधान पोर्टल पे भी अगर डालेंगे, ऑल दे नीड इज उद्योग आधार नंबर. तो ऐसा कहीं लॉ ये नहीं लिखा हुआ है कि जब आपने अग्रीमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया था उस समय यू शुड हैव बीन रजिस्टर्ड. एमएसएमई तो तब भी थे आप. only to
Right.
only to avail the resolution process you need to register yourself.
Right. And the second point which you mentioned is that if many companies, like they give 90 days, even 180 days payment
Yeah.
cycles, and many companies and then vendors agree. So once if they agree, then there's no liability, right?
No, so very good question. उसका सिंपल सा आंसर ये है कि जो लॉ में लिखा हुआ है, तो अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट उसके कॉन्ट्ररी है, तो we will have to read it aligned with the law. Contract cannot be above the law. एंड
Okay.
ऐसा क्लॉज हर एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में भी होता है, क्योंकि हर एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के एंड में मिसलेनियस सेक्शन होता है जिसमें हम ज्यादा ध्यान नहीं देते हैं. लेकिन उस मिसलेनियस सेक्शन में एक क्लॉज ये लिखा रहता है कि अगर कोई सेक्शन, इस अग्रीमेंट का कोई भी सेक्शन कोई भी लॉ के कॉन्ट्ररी है, then that whole agreement will not become invalid. The agreement, only those portions which are not in alignment with the law will become invalid. इसका मतलब ये है
Understood.
कि अगर अगर आपका क्लॉज अलाइन नहीं है विद लॉ, तो आप
Right.
उसको उसी तरीके से पढ़ेंगे जिससे लॉ लिखा हुआ है, नॉट एज पर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट.
Understood, sir. Okay.
Do we have time for the NIA or we can do it next time?
Uh, it would be like, because it's again very important topic, I would suggest that and it's a 16 slide PPT. It would not be justifiable to cover it in this same webinar. Probably we can schedule another webinar on this particular topic itself. Meanwhile, if Shweta, you have any questions related to MSMEs section, then you can also ask.
No, I'm good. I have no questions relating to the.
Okay.
MSME.
Sir, just one more point I want to confirm for the benefit of audience. You said that if a party delays payment to MSMEs, then same cannot be claimed as expense under income tax. The similar sort of provisions are also applicable for, say, PF and ESI payments, where if PF payment is done after 15, the same cannot be claimed as expenses. Is it under the same section, and is it followed like strictly?
See, followed strictly ऐसे होता है ना कि ऑडिट स्ट्रिक्ट होना चाहिए.
Okay.
So, because at the end of the day, your finances are being governed by the CA.
Right.
Whereas, so क्या होता है कि lot of times big companies who are really worried about their image, वो इस पॉइंट पे स्टिक कर जाते हैं. वो इस पॉइंट पे स्टिक कर जाते हैं कि एमएसएमई का लिस्ट का एमएसएमई का. सो इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द मैनेजमेंट एंड द बोर्ड. एंड व्हेन इट कम्स टू, सपोज यू आर ऑडिटिंग अ कंपनी, आपको ये पता ही नहीं है कि एमएसएमई का ड्यूज कितना है, तो आप फिर आप करेंगे, आप तो वो जो पेमेंट हुआ है वो यू विल बी ट्रीटिंग दैट एज एन एक्सपेंस. So the point is that the board of directors should be enlightened enough to understand why these provisions in law have been made. और फिर of course small companies में ये सब उतना strictly follow नहीं होता है. और I think the reason everybody knows, क्योंकि time का shortage है, compliance का इतना काम होता है, नहीं हो पाता है. लेकिन big companies like I have I shouldn't be naming them, but very big companies, they are very they take care of these things.
Right. No, because we are again an MSME, and I didn't know why each and every vendor or company when onboard us, they ask for all these certificate कि आप MSME में है, आपका turnover
हाँ,
कितना है. I thought what is the logic, what is the reason behind all this data collection? But now I understand because of their compliance issue and because they do not delay our payments, otherwise they will not be able to claim expenses. That is why it is very important, and even for bigger companies they have to maintain this database of all across all vendors, whether they are MSME or not, and prioritize payments of all those MSMEs.
बिल्कुल.
Sir, it was like thank you so much for your session, and I'll ask Shweta for any closing remarks. And
Okay, right. Thank you.
Yeah, so to close the session, I would also like to thank you for it was a great session. It was very valuable information for the audience. मतलब ये इसका relevance कितना ज़्यादा था इस relevant audience के लिए. This was, even something I understood now while listening to your session. So that it was very relevant. I'm very glad you came up with this topic. मतलब when we were discussing ideas. Very valuable. So just to check, it's fine with you, right? We can pick a convenient time for the section 138 session.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
per
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You can-
All
and
right.
sir, congratulations again, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank
and
you so much.
bottom of our heart, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.